Part C, selected questions from comprehension question set 1. For this part, I want to explain many selected questions from comprehension set 1. We have 50 questions there. Some of the questions I like to explain background a little more. Before we do that, there is one small topic left from part B because I ran out of time after I complete 4 videos. I have 10-something minutes to cover a small topic. So I put it here. So the topic is display data using Jstl. All right, so let's start that part first. Retrieve data from request scope. First, let me describe the situation we have. In the example, math sync, that example, we use MVC, right? Although we didn't use any framework, but we organize our resource using model view controller. Okay? Then we are at the last part, view part. We talk about the model view. Now model controller parts. Now the last component, the view part. View part, we use a special technology, so we call it Jstl. So here I like to briefly explain this technology a little bit. So the full name of this Jstl, JSP, that's the J part, standard tag library. So what's that? Standard tag. So you can see this tag. So this keyword tells you the most important information this technology is trying to do. First, currently, when we write a JSP, we use 2 environments. One is the Java environment. So you can embed Java code using scriptlets, right? So Java code, that part. Another is HTML environment. Because your page is basically an HTML page. So you should have a lot of HTML content. Usually this part, HTML part, that's the static content. Static, so basically not changed. The Java part, basically the dynamic part. Dynamic content. All right, All right. Here you can see there are 2 environments. They are mixed in a typical JSP, 2 different environments. So when you write a code, you need to do switching between these 2 different environments. Switching, frequently. So then some programmers may feel doing that kind of switching, although people can handle that, but this procedure can be improved. Okay, all right. So that is reduce the Java code part. Reduce the Java code part. HTML part, typically we use tags, right? That's the tag environment. Java code part, so not using tags. Java code part not using tags. All right. So then, so the JSP people, designers, so they thought they could put a lot of dynamic features using the tag way. Okay? Using the tag array to do dynamic features. Using tag array to do dynamic feature. The older way, need to use the regular Java way to do the dynamic features, because now they want to switch to the similar environment of HTML tags. HTML is tag environment. So they create a Java tag environment. Okay? So it's still Java tag environment. Okay? So this one basically provides Java tag environment. Okay? So that's the idea. Yeah. So you can use Java to build your special tags. So those tags are grouped and put together, make it as a library. jar library file. Okay, yeah. So then you can use you can use the special Java tags to handle dynamic content. So that's the basic idea of this Jstl. So here I give you the background. Hey, the basic background. All right. Next, let me tell you how to use this technology. All right. First, so let's recall, how did we put our data in the request scope? Yeah. In our controller, after we retrieve the data, so then we prepare it. We use Java beans to store the data row by row. So each row corresponds to one math problem. All right. Yeah. Then we have a whole list of Java beans. Then we store that list of Java bean into the request scope using this line, request.set attribute. The name of the attribute, prob list, okay? Double quotes, the name. Then the content of the data, our prob list object, we prepared in our controller. All right, so that's the part we need to use from our previous part B. Yeah. All right. Next, in order to use Jstl, that's our JSP display page. We call it list.jsp. The first thing we need to do, we need to add this line. So here you can see, so this is a special JSP element. Yeah. So tag lib. Yeah. So you can see we want to use Jstl core package. Jstl has several packages. So here we just use the core package. Yeah. So let me give you the certain number of packages in Jstl. The first one, core package, the core features. Yeah. So then another one, stream package, right? Because many times you like to handle strings, you need to use many special string processing methods. Yeah, so the stream package. All right. Then there is another package called function package. Yeah. So when you need to manipulate functions, then you need to use, many special ways. So the function package. Yeah. Then there is a format package. Format numbers, format your data, right? Yeah. The decimal points, number of digits, format package. Yeah. Then the last one, SQL package, SQL. If you want to display, if you want to do database queries, you can use this SQL package. But we know it's not a good idea to access database in JSP. It's not a good idea, although you can do it. Yeah, so you have many ways to do it. You can do it. Yeah, if you just use the embedded Java, you can access the database, so no problem. But it is not a good way. The reason is JSP pages are used as the from pages. The from pages usually, when you develop a project, the from pages usually will be given to other people to work on the HTML part. You don't want to give the credential, database credentials. You pass that part to, external people. Yeah. So always avoid doing database queries in JSP in any format, any techniques. Yeah. Try to avoid it. So that means although the SQL package is available, but you should avoid it. Okay? Yeah. Never use it. Yeah. All right. But the most frequently used package is this core. Yeah. The core, typically we can do display the data. Yeah. So if statement, for loop, while loop, loops. Yeah. So let's call the loops. Yeah. Loops, if statement, that kind of thing. So we can use the core package. All right. So then after you put this line, you tell the container, JSP container, where to find Jstl tag library. Okay? Yeah. Where to find? Yeah. First, we know the class loader will find the Java classes in those 3 different places I mentioned before last time in the previous video. Class loader knows where to find, Java classes. All right. Then in those 3 places, there are still many Java classes. So what are those that are used for Jstl? So here, this URL, yeah. So this string is used as the ID, identification ID, to tell the container, yeah. So this jar file, if it contains this ID string, that's the right one to provide your Jstl core package in this file. Okay, so that's the purpose of. Yeah. So although you see it uses the URI format, but it does not really mean you need to access the internet from this URL to get the information. It does not mean that. It just tells the container there is some internal jar file that can be used to provide the features for this technique. Yeah. All right, so let's go to the next step. Yeah. Then the jar files to be used, these 2 jar files. Yeah. Standard.jar, jstl.jar. Okay, yeah. These 2, the size pretty small. Yeah. So not very complicated, pretty small. Yeah. All right. So then our programming part, yeah, in our list.jsp. Now when we do the programming, we're using the tag way to display the data. Here you can see all the Jstl tags from the core package. We use C:* prefix. So prefix C, then when you need to refer to Jstl tags, you need to use C prefix colon, then the tag name. Here, we use the for each loop. Yeah. So the for each loop here, then the Java for each loop. So you know how to use for each loop. But here, the format we need to change. Yeah, the format we need to. Attribute, name, items. So now we want to retrieve a list of items. Okay. The items from some Java object. So what's the name of Java object? Prob list. Remember the prob list. So this name. So you use that name, put here in this EL. This is the EL, expression language, dollar, a pair of curly braces, EL. Okay, all right. So then your data object, that complete object is connected to this for each loop. The first step. Second step, then in each iteration of the for each loop, you need to get individual item, right? Individual item. So the VAR, so you specify prob. So this is the reference of each item. Prob. So you use var, VAR attribute to specify reference of each item. Yeah. How do you retrieve properties from each Java bean? You need a name, you need a reference. So here we define that reference, prob. Okay. Then inside, so each row, here we use a table format. So in each row of a table, when we need to get ID, PID, problem, ID, practice, yeah, here you may ask me why we call PPID. PPID, so that's the, initials from practice problem ID. Yeah, so one of my table at some time, I call it, practice table. So I have one version, I didn't change. I use that PPID. Yeah, anyway, so that may not be important. So now you use this EL expression, dollar curly braces around. So each item, you have a reference prob. Okay, so prob. That prob Java bean has a property called PPID. So you use dot operator, refer to that PPID property. Then you want to retrieve that property right here. Yeah, the first one. Second, another one, dollar curly braces prob. This time you want to retrieve the content property. Okay, so you put content property here. Yeah, that EL. So very convenient to use. Okay, all right. So that's pretty much the whole story using Jstl technology. Okay, so before I complete this video, so let me explain the last thing related to EL and Jstl. Okay. In the early version of Jstl, EL was part of the Jstl at the beginning. EL. Yeah. So EL was a sub-technology inside the Jstl technology in the early versions of Jstl. Yeah. But later, so programmers, they noticed EL technology is so useful. So they want to use EL without Jstl part. Yeah, because many times in your JSP, you just want to present your data directly. You do not need to use Jstl. Okay? You just display EL expressions directly without import Jstl technology. Yeah. So then the later versions of JSP, they take the EL part out of the JSTL. So they put that EL part as part of the JSP technology. The newer version, JSP technology, contains that EL part. So that means if you just want to use the EL, you do not need to get that JSTL part to use that. You just use it directly from JSP. Yeah. All right, so that's the basic information about data display. Yeah. All right, so let me stop here.